Um, hey everyone from Substack Live. We are gonna get started at the top of the hour, so we're just hanging out until then. And let's see. I'm just checking out these different settings. This setting on practice. Very good. Got my tea here. Georgia Tech. Mm. Start taking notes. Okay, probably entertain the crowd for later. Um, okay, so about to rev the engines, but I kind of want to make sure that y'all know what y'all are in for, because the engines are gonna go very quickly. Hello, dear African politician. How are you today? We got people coming in. This is exciting. We got Ivan, or is it Yvonne? Saw you yesterday. Welcome back. Welcome. Exciting stuff. Um, what did y'all think of yesterday's session? What did y'all think of the interview with Michael yesterday? Um, Michael and Anne have published more than 5 or so um books in the past, and there are definitely a lot of people in the Smokin' Hot Books world that have also felt discouraged from publishing many times before, and maybe they go to um guru after guru, and every guru says, just stay consistent. If you just stay consistent, and then the results will show up. And that is partly true, because consistency applied to something that is not very let's just say energy applied to something that is not very good is going to just amplify what is already there, which means you're going to get some energy applied to something mediocre is just going to get more and more mediocre results. But if you apply energy to something that's badass, you're going to get badass results. All right. And we'll talk about that today. In fact, there's a reason why, even if you consistently post on Instagram, consistently post on LinkedIn, consistently post on Substack, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have success. So it is 12:01. We're going to get started. Okay. And we're going to have people filing in on Zoom, on Substack Live. And we're revving the engines here, folks. Okay. So day 2, this is the 10,000 copies book launch system. And this is day 2. Yesterday we talked about how, one, that for y'all are like very great entrepreneurs. You're successful entrepreneurs. You're really good at what you do. You run successful companies. In fact, I in 2022, I believe, I joined a Jack Canfield mastermind. You might be wondering who Jack Canfield is. Jack Canfield is the co-founder of the Chicken Soup for the Soul brand, which is the most famous book brand in the entire world. First billion-dollar book brand. They've sold 500 million copies of their books, and more all the time. And so I signed up for this mastermind in 2022, and it was a virtual mastermind. So we're all gathering around him, learning how to sell more books around him. It was all virtual. And I was getting imposter syndrome for sure. There are people there who are running big staffing agencies, 8-figure staffing agencies, 8-figure bottling plants, big companies. And they had gone through the process of writing a book, and those books were still sitting in cardboard boxes in their office. And that must have been so painful. It was probably really embarrassing for them. And if you have published before, you probably know what I'm talking about. And we talked about how a lot of successful entrepreneurs think that just because you're really good, and I totally get it. Like if you're successful at doing the thing that you love to do, that you consistently do, and then all of a sudden you publish a book and you think that what you've done before can apply to what you are doing now, which is publishing a book and marketing a book and helping that book go viral and be successful. And you're wondering, what's wrong? What happened? You're like, what's going on? I totally get it. And we also talked yesterday about how marketing a book is not like marketing a brand. All right. We talked about how marketing a book is more like marketing a product. All right. So remember how we talked yesterday about how Beyonce, when she launched her hair care line, in fact, for how many times I've used this example, I should probably have a bottle of her shampoo like right here as like demonstration purposes, but it's kind of expensive, so maybe I'll get it next time. But so when Beyonce launched her hair care line, she had a pre-game period where a pre-launch period, a launch runway, so that before she ever told the public that she has a hair care line, she was testing, she was giving samples, she had a focus group, beta testers, right? Like Google Maps used to have beta testers. If you can imagine back in the day, what the early 2000s, Google Maps was not available to the public. They had a focus group of people that they were getting reviews from back, social proof back, so that when they actually launched, they could tell people, hey, Google Maps is actually a good product. Beyonce's hair care line is a good product. You need social proof. And this is exactly what we're on about. So day 2 is all about telling or sharing with you all, your dream, the 10,000 copies dream. Christina told me the other day that her dream is to make a beautiful impact on the world from her story. And we talked about how your story and telling your story in a way that people can understand, right? We don't want to use thought spaghetti. We don't want to start your life when you started in kindergarten and how you moved to Minneapolis and then how you moved to Houston. No, no, no. We want to hear how your life pertains to the thing that you're doing right now, the thing you're the most passionate about. And that was the storytelling framework we talked about yesterday to talk about your magnetic origin story. Today, now we're talking about strategy, how to actually sell 10,000 copies. But first, we're going to do that tomorrow. The first thing we're doing is actually talking about why 94% of books flop. Why not? And that this statistic, by the way, is not by me. It's from Simon and Schuster. So Simon and Schuster is one of the most prestigious. Okay, I'm going to use quotations here because I mean, like at me. Okay, Simon and Schuster, Penguin Random House, at me because like you guys have like a whole thing about like being prestigious, whatever. I understand, but this ain't it. Okay, so Simon and Schuster says that 94% of books sell less than 1,000 copies per year. Okay, and that is, even successful people who, they get the book deal and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I got the book deal, I got the book deal. 94% of those authors do not make it. They die in obscurity. In fact, there was someone on Substack the other day. She's a Substack bestseller. She's a successful person. Her book was published by Simon and Schuster and it's going out of print because it wasn't selling. Okay. These things happen all the time. And you can decide, hey, maybe I want to be that kind of person. I can put all my effort, all my energy, all my heart into a book and then watch it die. In fact, the average number of copies that a self-published book sells in its lifetime is 250, which means 5 copies per year for the next 50 years. That is really painful, okay? So if you're watching this, you don't want that to happen to you, okay? So here is exactly what we are going to do about it, okay? So welcome, welcome, welcome. We talked about yesterday, these 3 days are about, yesterday we talked about your magnetic origin story. And we started with that because at the end of the day, we're building a magnetic cult of personality for you, all right? So Russell Brunson, if you don't know who Russell Brunson is, he's the founder of ClickFunnels, one of the most famous funnel software in the entire world. He has a software and a tribe called Funnel Hackers. And he talks about how he built a magnetic cult of personality around his story and his origin story. Now, ClickFunnels is just like any other funnel software. It's just like, there's tons. There's like lead pages. There's Go High Level. There's like, and like you can build your own funnel software. But ClickFunnels is one of the most famous in the world because of Russell Brunson, because people want to be funnel hackers, because they have gravitated to Russell Brunson because of his magnetic cult of personality. Mike Michalowicz, Robert Kiyosaki, Jessica Zweig, Jack Canfield. These are all famous authors that you speak their name without them having to be in the room, their household names. How do they get to that point? It's because you know their story, because you have gravitated to their story, and now you know how their method and their story applies to your life. That is exactly what we are doing here. Day 2, which is today, we're talking about the 4 main reasons why your book will flop. 94, if you are writing a book right now, this is the statistic. You have a 94% chance of it failing. Okay. And many of us have been in that situation. I've been in that situation. Okay. I've been in that scenario where like my past 4 books actually did terribly. Okay. This book you see on the left right here sold 15,000 copies. That was because I started applying certain principles. So the word principle, the origin of the word principle is the thing that doesn't change. These things don't change. I had to learn marketing principles and applied those to my 5th book, and that was the one that took off. All right. And then finally, tomorrow, we are actually getting into the nitty gritty, the strategy, the 10,000 copies book launch system. But today we're going to find out why it's even important. Why do you care? Okay. Like truly, like why the fuck do you care? And this is why I'm here to tell you. Okay. So again, welcome. Who this is for. Intermediate to advanced digital marketers. That means you are consistently showing up on social media. You're consistently showing up on podcasts or TV or something. I don't have to show you how to build a landing page. Okay. You understand how that stuff works. All right. And quite frankly, you'll need that. All right. You will need that. And it's awesome. It's a great way to make money and spread your message. You want to become the authority in your space. You want to launch a successful book. And maybe you just haven't launched successful books in the past, but like Michael yesterday, we did an interview with him yesterday. He was like, I identify as a successful entrepreneur. I identify as a winner. I identify as a successful author. I just haven't gotten there yet. And if you identify as that kind of person, this is for you. We're just going to give you the roadmap to actually make your dream manifest, right? Or help it happen. And then, of course, spiritually attuned entrepreneurs, knowing that your internal world 3D prints your outer world. You are the hero of your own story. So again, you need something to take notes with, meaning that have some self-respect, y'all. Like, I don't want you staying on your phone. If you're watching this later, like, are you like, you have another tab open, you've got your phone out, like, stop doing that. Okay. Get your attention span back. And shut off distractions. Okay. So let's start taking notes. So come to class. Woo! All right. So the curse of success. Again, we've talked about how very successful entrepreneurs who do what this is my client, Amy. She, you guys are really good at staying consistent, showing up online, right? She had a beautiful audience of over 50,000 followers on social media. And her thought was like, well, I've posted consistently for the past 2-3 years on social media. And all I need to do once I have my book is just, share my book with my TikTok audience, right? So when she launched her book to her TikTok audience, did it go viral? Was it successful? No, it was not. Okay, I think that's the answer. There's a lot of suspense there, I know. But no, it didn't go viral. It wasn't successful. In fact, it sold only like less than a copy per day for like the past 2 years. And that's why she and I worked together, because she was like, something wasn't right. Something didn't happen. It's because there's something I'm missing, right? So we're going to talk about that. We've talked about it already a lot. And I want to reiterate why that operating system. So we're here to upgrade your operating system. Okay. So for a lot of us, we are currently living at a current operating system and it's getting us a certain amount of results, right? So results come from being, then doing, and then having, right? Like if you have the right thoughts and beliefs and the right operating system, you will do the right thing so that you can have a certain result. And I want you to have that viral book. I want you to have that super successful 10,000 copies book, right? It's truly amazing. It feels so great when the people come to you, when a publisher from New York asks to buy the rights to your book, when the podcast interview asks for you to come onto their podcast, not the other way around. Okay, it feels amazing. I want you to have that, and it's so possible for you. All right, so We are here to upgrade your operating system so that, for example, like it's like running Claude on one of those old 1980s computers, right? It ain't gonna work. We need you to upgrade to like a nice sleek MacBook Air so that you can run ChatGPT, you can run Claude, you get amazing results. All right. So this is you getting your upgrade. All right. So problem number one, right? We talked about this. You marketed your book like your brand. And here's the alternative. I want you to think about marketing your book like a product, like a product. And in fact, people who are product entrepreneurs, like people who sell things on like Etsy or sell things on Amazon, you guys are actually more equipped to have a successful book than someone who has been building a personal brand or building a company brand like Smoking Hot or something like that, because you know what it actually takes to have like a pre-game period, a runway, right? I'm following this girl who's launching like a boba brand, like boba tea, and she hasn't released the product yet. All she's doing is that she's posting on Instagram to build anticipation, to build enthusiasm, right? And as she's posting along the way, she is sending out samples of her product to a focus group so she can get social proof back and saying, wow, this is a great product. She posts the testimonial on Instagram. She's posting the 5-star review on Instagram, right? And this is exactly what Beyonce did. She got 18,000 5-star. I mean, people are saying, hey, on Instagram, hey, this is 5 stars. And then once it's on Ulta, then she says, hey, there's, 18,000 of my fans say this is a 5-star product. That's social proof. That's when I say, Beyonce, I cannot wait to buy your hair care line. In fact, okay, right after this, I'm going to go to Ulta and actually get some Sacred because I need to get some. But lucky for you, you do not need 18,000 reviews. Okay. As a best-selling author, you need way less than that. Way less than that. You just need, here's the magic number, 100. 100 reviews. Why 100? Because 100 is generally, it's like most self-published books have less than 100 reviews. Most self-published books have between like 20 to 50 reviews. And if you're watching this, you probably know what I mean. You're just like, you grinded for those reviews. And you're like, you're like, oh my gosh, that was so hard to get those reviews. What do you mean 100? 100 is a moat around your book. So like think about like a castle, right? Like a castle that has a moat around it. It protects the castle. It shows that, it tells people to back off, right? It shows that, the people who live in this castle take themselves seriously, that this is a high quality castle, right? This is the same thing. It's like a marketing signal. So how like price is like a marketing signal sometimes? Like if you see a Lexus that's on sale for like $80, you're like, something is wrong with that Lexus, right? If you see a Lexus on sale for like $80,000, you're like, yeah, that sounds right. It's a marketing signal. Same thing with your reviews. You want to have enough reviews so that you are giving off the impression that you take yourself seriously and this is a strong book and that there's enough social proof that once you start telling more and more and more people about it, people are like, there's 100 reviews on this book. This must be a great book, right? And then they go and buy it. Okay. So marketing your book like a product. Problem number 2. All right. So here, we talked about this yesterday. So Christina yesterday talked about how she hired a hybrid publisher who was like, I will promise you the world. You're going to get all the things. You're going to be on Times Square. You're going to get, hey, Corianne, you're going to get all the things. And at the end of the day, they completely underdelivered because we're hoping that we outsource our power, let's be real, to someone else, hoping that they will help us achieve the results. Kind of like when you hire I just bought a new house, right? So look at this nice background. And we just got our HVAC replaced. It's kind of like when you hire an HVAC person who's got, is very reputable and under promises and over delivers. That's what you want, right? Not someone Joe Schmo down the street who's like, I'm going to give you everything that you want and more, and then under delivers. Like that feels terrible. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why this happens because we don't understand how the publishing industry works. We assume that someone else will do actually the heavy lifting for us. The truth is that marketing is like 80% of the work. Once you finish your book, marketing is like a lifetime. You spend your entire life talking about your book and sharing your book. That's marketing. And that's work. And you were expecting someone else to do that for us and us to get paid for it? Absolutely not. Okay. So if you are not familiar with this, maybe you are, there's mainly two styles of publishing. And there's a third that's in the middle. It's called hybrid. Okay. So the first type is traditional publishing. And traditional publishing, at the end of the day, the publisher has bought the rights to to buy the rights to sell your intellectual property, your IP. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, like maybe we want to be, to think twice about that because your intellectual property goes on to be featured in your course, in your consulting, in your services and products, and more and more and more, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs decide that they want to go with traditional publishers. Okay. And I'm not here to necessarily sway you either way. Actually, I am, but I'm here to tell you that there's pros and cons to both. And with traditional publishing, a lot of traditional publishers have these relationships that they built with distributors and airport bookstores. Like Soli, who used to work in sales and marketing at Penguin Random House, had relationships with distributors and people that were ready to buy books. But just because there's distribution does not mean that there's demand for the book. Okay. Just because there's a pipeline doesn't mean that people are actually interested in what's, on the other end. Okay. So you still have to be the person to build demand. All right. So, you see right here at the bottom left, you still handle all the marketing, like 95% of the marketing. Okay. Here on this right here, I'm showing a picture. Courtney is on, Amy is on. Um, I have a picture of Jessica Zweig. Jessica Zweig is actually one of my coaches. I have a lot of coaches, but she was one of my coaches, and she sold 70,000 copies of this book called Be and doubled the size of her business in 12 months. And she still did like 95% of her marketing. She went with a traditional publisher. She had a traditional publisher buy the rights to sell her property, and she still did 95% of the marketing and was very successful. Okay. So you still, if you want success, if you want results like that, you handle the marketing. Okay. Now, self-publishing. So the big thing with self-publishing is that a lot of authors think like it's less prestigious. And I get that. I do. But times have absolutely changed. In fact, there's this author named Danielle Leslie who, or she's an upcoming author. She's like a very famous like course guru online. And she was like, you know what? Like, nothing about self-publishing or traditional. It's not about the publishing. It's about me. It's about Beyonce. Like, imagine like, imagine Beyonce being like, "Hey, I need like Island Records or whatever record company she is. Like, I need you to like say yes to me and to validate me and to get me like, no, like you're Beyonce, okay? You're the reason why people want you. You're the reason why success exists because of you, right? And Robert Kiyosaki here, Mike Michalowicz here, Rupi Kaur here, all these folks here all originally self-published because they believed that. Because they didn't believe that I need to have someone say yes to me in order to be successful. I'm going to just self-publish and I'm going to market myself. And this is all possible. You handle all the marketing, and you also still own the rights to sell. And that's how I did it. And I sold 15,000 copies. Dan self-published. He sold 40,000 copies. And on and on and on. All these self-published, he sold 200. It's not about the publishing. It's about you. It's about you. Okay. So either way, doesn't matter. I mean, even if you're hybrid publishing, right? Traditional, hybrid, self-publishing, either way, you own the marketing. I want to break this belief. So like, I don't know how many times I need to hammer this home. I will do it until I'm in the grave. Okay. You own the marketing. You own the marketing. Well, it doesn't even matter what it is, whatever you're selling. You could be selling like cups. You could be selling milk. You could be selling calendars. You could be selling books. You can be selling anything. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You own the market with everything. Okay. Even for example, like I like to use the example of like record musicians, right? Like we're all relatively familiar with like how the music industry works. Like the artists that do really well, even though they're signed to a label, are doing the work of appearing on social media, of building audiences and building fans, right? Like one of my favorite artists nowadays is Lainey Wilson. Like she got signed to a label and immediately she said, "This is the starting line. This is the starting line because I own my marketing. I own where people show up for me." Okay. So here is the wrong way to market your book. Okay. No book launch. just like how Amy did, just like how maybe y'all are doing it, where you just have like, maybe you have an Instagram audience or TikTok audience and you just say, boom, I'm posting my book. Hey, my book exists on Amazon now. And hey, go buy it. And then crickets, 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 right? Not like that's the wrong way. And you end up like this guy on the left who we have all been around. It's the guy at the networking event with on the name tag, and he's got author on it, and he's like, please buy my book. Please buy my book. Please buy my book. Right? Like, buy my book, please. Right? Like, that's the guy we end up becoming, the guy we hate. No one wants to end up like that guy. And you end up becoming your book's employee because you're constantly shilling your book. You're like, please buy my book. Please buy my book. You have no momentum. You have no momentum. Whereas the right way to market your book is to create a flywheel effect with a book launched. Okay. So now there's a lot of definitions of book launch. Hey, Phyllis. There's a lot of definitions of book launch. Okay, I've noticed. So some people think that like if I post my book to Instagram, that's considered a book launch. If I host like a little like party at my house, that's considered a book launch. There's a lot of definitions. There is only one definition of book launch inside the smoke and hot world, and that is to have the pregame period, the launch runway, the Beyonce way. Okay, the beyond. Okay, I don't know how else to describe this. It's the Beyonce way. It's energy, it's pizzazz, and it's building momentum and anticipation towards a single moment, and it catapults you. So like the root of the word launch is like a lot of energy all at once. All at once. You all of a sudden, you're building up, you're priming the pump, and then all of a sudden water is gushing out. All of a sudden now everyone's talking about your book. All of a sudden everyone's saying, hey, have you read Christina's new book? Have you read Soli's new book? I heard about this here. I heard it. And everyone's talking about you all at once. That's the only definition of that here inside Smoke and Hot. And that's totally available for you. Okay. And you're like, how do I do that? How do I get there? Well, we'll talk about that. But here's the benefit. Here's why you should care. Okay. Because in 5 to 10 years from now, people will still be talking about your book. You don't have to shill anything. And in fact, I recently I launched my last book like 5 years ago. And only just like 2 weeks ago, I got this email in my inbox from this lady who runs a book club. And she's like, hey, I have 4,000 people inside my book club who would love to read your book. And I'm like, what? Like, the ads are off. Like, I haven't done a single marketing thing for that book. It's great. I mean, it's a wonderful feeling. Okay. Um, People are still talking about your book. People are still joining your email list and buying your stuff without any extra work on your part. Okay. Now, you can still add energy to the system. You can still, this is a picture of a flywheel. This is a picture of a sewing machine, and someone pedals it. Which, by the way, if you don't know what a flywheel is a mechanism where you still have to put energy into it. In fact, it might be a little difficult at first to get the energy going, but once it starts going, it gets easier and easier and easier to keep going. In fact, it gets harder to stop. It gets easier to keep going and harder to stop. Okay, so that's what the beauty of a flywheel is. And when that's happening, it's like your book is your employee. That's when people are talking about Stephen Covey, about Jack Canfield, about Mike Michalowicz, about Renee Day, without her having to be in the room, right? That's the immortal authority that we can create for you inside Smoke and Hot. Because and only time gets to tell, but the only way to start is by having a proper book launch. Okay. So how do we do this? So at Smoke and Hot, we actually rely on the Amazon algorithm. So, some people are like, what do you mean Amazon? Like some people are like, well, I know how to buy things from Amazon. Like I know how to buy like shoes from Amazon or like journals from, like, what do you mean by Amazon? And if you didn't know, Amazon actually has a whole division dedicated to helping people buy books and helping self-published authors succeed on Amazon. Okay. So if you're used to like using YouTube, for example, to find videos to watch, there's so some people don't like the word algorithm, but just replace algorithm maybe with hamsters on a wheel. There's these robots or these things that are working in the background to help you find the video. Like just this morning, I was doing a rowing workout. Okay. And they help the YouTube algorithm helps me find the best video to find to find the best rowing workout. And there's other things that, algorithms help us with. And Amazon is helping readers find great books to buy on the biggest and hungriest bookstore in the world. Amazon is by far the biggest bookstore in the world. Okay. Um, in fact, I have this friend, her name's also Christina. She is one of my other I have a lot of coaches. And she says that whenever she buys a book on something new, she doesn't just buy one book. She says she buys like 5 books on a topic. People on Amazon are not browsers necessarily. They're there with intent. They want to buy something. Their credit card information is already loaded into Amazon, and they want that book delivered to them stat, right? Amazon is a big, hungry machine, and we can feed it with your book. All right. So here's the formula. You guys want the formula for success on Amazon? It's right here. Okay. If you can there's 2 main things that feed the algorithm: sales and reviews. And time is of the essence. So if you can get 500 sales and 100 reviews in the first 30 days of your book being on Amazon, time is of the essence, remember, then you can get Amazon virality. Virality, when people you've never heard of, strangers from the internet, people who are not part of your network, because Amazon has email lists. Amazon has they're recommending products to their customers all the time, right? And your book can reach these people because Amazon is just suggesting. And that's when your audience is growing. You're not just selling your book to your friends and family anymore, right? So that's like the 250 copies curse. When you're just selling your book to just your audience and you're just, talking to the same people over and over again. You want to sell your book to grow your impact, to grow your audience, to grow your revenue, right? That's when you can reach more people. Okay. So this is literally a screenshot from my book, from my Rainwater book. And I got less than 500 downloads and 100 reviews. And as you can see, Amazon then took that and just made it go viral. It helped it spread it out to over 2,200 people. And I don't know who these people are, but I was able to capture their information with a way. I'll show you how to do that. And you now have a bigger audience because your book has gone viral. And not only just going viral, imagine your Instagram post going viral. That's cool and all. A 6-second video going viral is okay. But imagine your pinnacle of thought leadership going viral. The thing that people are dying for, the thing that helps, my sales coaches, they sell their book and they have made millions of dollars from their book because the book is the signal and the noise. It's the thing that people can go deep with, the thing that people can get changed by, transformed by, and then they want to buy the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That's better, I would say, than your Instagram post going viral. Okay. And I have a little picture of Mr. Beast here who's I've gone viral, and he has a win-win relationship with YouTube. We're creating a win-win relationship with you and Amazon here. All right. So here's what I keep hearing about publishers and agencies. Okay. We want our books to go viral, and a lot of publishers and agencies will say, well, we'll help your book be successful. Right. So here's the thing that they're saying, right? They say, we'll upload your book to Amazon, we'll upload your book to Ingram Spark, and we'll help it get global distribution. Okay. And when you hear global distribution, your eyes are lighting up. You're like, oh my gosh, my book, going worldwide. Right. But then once your book is out, then no one's buying it. And you're like, I thought my book would be uploaded for global distribution. What happened, right? They didn't lie. It technically is available for global distribution. It's uploaded to a catalog where technically anyone in the world could order it. But that doesn't mean they know that it exists, okay? So Ingram Spark is a place where anyone in the world could order. I could show you my phone. I get emails every month from Ingram Sparks saying someone from India bought my book. Someone from the UK bought my book. My client Ken, his book is now in the UK prison system because he created demand for his book, not just because he had global distribution. There was global distribution and there was also global demand. All right. I'll show you how to do that. Okay. With the 10,000 copies book launch system. All right. People also say that publishers or the agencies, they help you launch your book on Amazon, but they might have poorly executed it. Right. It's the same thing as hiring Joe Schmo down the street to install your HVAC. And then you're wondering, why do I have all these problems? It's because you hire Joe Schmo, right? There's a lot of people who can say a lot of things. I say a lot of things, okay? I'm I'm a yapper, okay? But doesn't mean that they actually can help you get your number one Amazon bestseller. Now, here's the thing is that I'm going to tell you that we actually guarantee number one Amazon bestseller for all of our done one for you clients. Like, you absolutely are guaranteed that. Um, and if you don't get it, we'll work with you for free until you get there. All done for you clients, okay? Um, a lot of people also say, like, their hybrid publisher give them a date. They're like, okay, so your book is going, finish your book. It's going to be live on August 15th or whatever. And you're like taking that information and they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, how do I actually launch my book? Like, if my book is going to be on Amazon, then what? Right? So you're confused. You're left holding the bag. People also will say, like, I have a really good book. In fact, my friend has a really great book and I love it. And I'll tell other people about it, but they don't know why it's not selling. Okay. There's tons of people out there who put their heart and soul into a really good book, but the the cover and the title of the book actually can kill its chances of actually being successful. Okay. So all of these problems, how are we going to avoid them? We can avoid all of these problems with the 10,000 copies book launch system. Oh my gosh, you guys, here it is. Okay. So number one, they might upload your book for global distribution, but no one's buying it because there's no demand for it. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to create demand and buzz during that book launch runway, during your pre-launch runway, during your pre-game period, just like we did with my client Amy, using the 10,000 copies book launch system. And her book absolutely went viral. It hit the number 10 on Business and Money, up there with Mel Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki and these crazy awesome authors. Ken, his book is now in the UK prison system. He didn't pitch to the UK prison system; they came to him. All right, wow, amazing, right? Um, some people will say that, like, I hired this hybrid publisher or whatever, and I missed my chance for number one Amazon bestseller. But I'm going to tell you that that shouldn't have happened because you should have easily hit number one Amazon bestseller. In fact, my Soli and I are working with our client Valerie, and we're checking our phones today because she's very likely to hit number one Amazon bestseller today. Okay, that's something you can guarantee. We can guarantee for you. Okay, we have charting on Amazon down to a science. All right. In fact, number one Amazon bestseller is like one little stepping stone. Like, ultimately, you have a bigger goal in mind. Like Christina, you want impact. Like one of our clients, Peter, he wants to grow his online community. Valerie wants more clients, right? Like that. And Amy wanted to grow her Substack. Like, there's bigger goals that you have in mind. And number one bestseller is available for you and it's guaranteed for you if you're our done for your client. But it's just like a stepping stone. We want you to have the bigger pie. We want you to have the ultimate goal that you want. Okay. So just letting you know, like, we'll work with you to make sure that your ultimate goal is realized. And then some people will say, well, they're gonna upload my book to Amazon on January 1. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, no worries, okay? Just apply the 10,000 copies book launch system to your book that's gonna go out on January 1. All right. Now here's the thing: is that, like, hybrid publishers, traditional publishers, it's like they control everything. They're controlling your release date. They're controlling your launch date, and that's fine and all. But it's like, okay, cool. Like, apply the 10,000 copies book launch system to it, but, like, at the same time, like, only total control is available for self-publishers. It's like total control is available for, like, Beyonce. Like, imagine, like, Beyonce or someone telling Beyonce, like, your book or your hair care line has to come out on this date or else, like, the like, imagine, like, no, Beyonce's like, no, I'm the one who says when the sacred hair care line comes out, when the product goes out. I'm the one. You're Beyonce, okay? I just want to remind you, okay? You get to control it all. And total control is available for you. And don't be afraid, because with the 10,000 copies book launch system, with me and my team, with Soli, we walk you and guide you through every single part of the process. You will never feel alone. And then finally, some people will say, like, I have a really good book, but I don't know what's not selling. And that can happen. It happens all the time. And there can be many reasons why. But one of the main reasons is because your title and your cover are confusing. Because you've picked a title that you loved, that you thought was good, because you came up with it in the shower and you fell in love with it and you thought that, everyone around you would love it. But you're not your target audience. You might be your target audience like 5 years ago, but you're not your target audience again. You've learned things that they have absolutely no consciousness of. And they're like, one of my clients, Anne, she had this book called Flashes of Light. Okay. And it was about financial management, or managing financial, or recovering um, from illness and getting back on your feet financially. Like, Flashes of Light is not outcome based regarding that outcome. People are buying products. Your book is a product, right? You must have a title and a cover that is in service to the customer that is experiencing a problem, experiencing issues at 2 a.m., who's like, no one's here to help me. What do I do? Your book can be that thing, that voice in the noise. That is the compassionate voice. Ultimately, confused buyers do not buy. They will skip right over your book, even if it's amazing, because your cover and your title are confusing. People absolutely judge books by their cover, okay? So, problem number 3, your title and your cover are confusing, okay? So here's a case study. Y'all. Like, this is literally my first ever book. I'm putting myself on the chopping block, okay? I've been there. I've made these mistakes myself. And this book was called Networking for Introverts because I had wanted to write a book on how to release social anxiety. But apparently, so Dan isn't on today, but Dan was my publishing coach who was like, what do you mean networking? Networking is a very confusing term. It could mean computer networking. It can mean social networking. It can mean different things. And just because of that half second of confusion, people will keep on scrolling on Amazon, all right? We're not selling, this is not Barnes& Noble, this is not Water, this is different. This is Amazon. We're optimizing for scrolling, for browsing on the internet, and for people to understand what the heck you're selling and talking about within like half a second, all right? So the ultimate thing is that the best-selling books must start with the market first. The market first. That means that the title, the cover, the fonts that you're using, even the content of your book are completely downstream of having a complete clear picture on what your market responds to. Okay, so here's an example that I use a lot on the left. I have this, they're both yoga books, and this book on the left is called Yoga for Seniors. You can tell that it's calm and it's for seniors. But on the right, it's also a yoga book, but it's for real men. And it's about doing yoga without losing your man card, right? Like, all of these things, like, even the content is different. Like, on the left is a 6-week program. On the right is like case studies. All of that is downstream of your target market. Okay. So this is exactly what chicken soup for the soul. If you don't know what chicken soup for the soul is, then obviously you're not a 90s or early 2000s kid, because these books were absolutely everywhere. But this is the world's first billion-dollar book brand. And they were so successful because they made each book the dog lover soul, the grandma soul, the girl soul, older and wiser. All of these were created downstream of outlining a target market first. The girl, the dog lover, the grandma, what did they want first? And then they designed and tested covers and titles with that target market afterwards. All right, downstream. And that's exactly what we do at Smokin' Hot. Like, if it's good enough for chicken soup for the soul, holy crap, it's good enough for us too. All right, so here's a quote from Seth Godin. Seth Godin is a marketing wizard, and he says, "Do not find customers for your products," which means doing the thing that entrepreneurs and people who are successful love to do, which is think that they, just because you run a really successful staffing agency doesn't mean that you know how to have a successful book. You need to find products for your customers. You need to be clear on who your customer is and what they want and what they're continuously struggling with, and why, even though there's like tons of books on habits, that there's room for another book on habits, because you are understanding what the blue ocean is in your market. That's why Atomic Habits was successful, because James Clear, oh my gosh, he did like years of research on habits in a way that other people weren't talking about. Okay. You need to reverse engineer. You need to understand why your customers are still having problems. Write that book. All right. So this is e-commerce 101, baby. Okay. If you're not familiar with e-commerce, no worries. Like, I totally get it. Like, if you're not used to selling on Amazon or Etsy, no worries. But this is e-commerce, because we're sending traffic to offers, and it doesn't matter what kind of traffic. It does matter the quality of the traffic for sure. But you can guest on podcasts and send ads and do Instagram and YouTube all freaking day. But if you send it to a book that is confusing, has a confusing title, has a confusing cover, it's not going to sell. It's not going to convert. But if you have a market first title and cover, if you have 100 reviews, if you have great copy on it, and you have optimized your Amazon listing or your Amazon, I call it an Amazon profile because people invest all the time into Substack profiles, Instagram profiles, LinkedIn profiles, that they're like, and then they neglect their Amazon profile. In fact, one of my friends, oh my gosh, he, oh my goodness, has this beautiful brand on how he helps rural hospitals get their operations together. And he hired a hybrid publisher to set up his Amazon listing, set up his book, and they flubbed it. It looks like crap. I haven't told him myself. Maybe I should. I don't know. But he's not my client. So it looks like crap. And people are absolutely judging you by the quality of your book. Okay. In fact, your book is the keystone of your intellectual property. Okay. If you can remember that your book is the keystone of your thought leadership and you've completely neglected the Amazon listing and the Amazon profile, like it will show. It will make a mark on your reputation, okay? If we can optimize those things, however, and then we send traffic, and then we guess on the best podcast, and we guess on and we have the best ads, and we have the best, most targeted Instagram or whatever it is, and we send traffic to that, then it will convert, okay? But if you don't have those things, it will not convert, okay? Now, here's 5 components to an outstanding Amazon profile. I'm just going to give it to you because I'm nice like that, okay? And it doesn't just because you know these things doesn't mean that it's the best. In fact, I probably need to get meaner. I need to just be like, look, like it's bad. It's a bad cover. It's a bad title. It's bad copy because you guys deserve to have transparency and deserve to have honesty. Because if it's a bad cover, it won't convert. But if you test your title and you test your cover and you have enough reviews and you have a great book description and you have awesome graphics. So here's an example of Amy Porterfield and the graphics on her book. It looks branded. It looks clear. It looks confident. That's what you want, right? And then people are like, oh yeah, this bitch knows what she's talking about, right? You also have editorial reviews. What are editorial reviews? Editorial reviews are like other famous people talking about your book, endorsing your book. And that's what we call OPI or other people's influence, where you can borrow that and people will, maybe like on the fence about buying your book, but then they're like, oh yeah, I know Mel Robbins. I like her. And she has a blurb on Amy Porterfield's book. Okay, I'm going to buy it, right? It could be that last tipping point for someone to actually purchase your book, okay? Now, here's also now problem number 4. Okay, we've covered 3 major problems. Number 1, you marketed your book like your brand. Number 2, you thought that your publisher would market for you. And then number 3, you thought your title and your cover were confusing or they just weren't high quality, okay? So here's the last and final problem, okay? And I see it everywhere and it's super common, especially if you're a novice to marketing or a novice to marketing your book. You think that you need to be everywhere. In fact, I was talking to my friend Esther, who was like, I have been posting on Facebook. I've been posting on Instagram. I've been posting on YouTube. I'm posting everywhere. I need to be everywhere because if I'm not everywhere, then people can't find me, right? And that's, again, the trap that we fall into. What we really want is for you to be a laser. You want to be a laser and talk to the right people at the right time. That's marketing, where you can do way more with less. So think about like a light bulb. Like I have a light bulb right here and it's has like 60 watts or so and it's sending out like this nice diffused light everywhere and I'm enjoying it. But think about like a laser beam. Like a laser beam can cut through metal, right? Laser is the same amount of power, but it's now concentrated. Okay. That can be you in your marketing. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But here's the problem is that you're currently diffused. You're a diffused light. You're trying to do everything and everything you can't make any headway, right? So you might end up feeling like this guy, the guy at the networking event with the author on his name tag who's like, please, like that guy sucks. We want him out of here, right? We hate that guy. We don't want to be like that. So you really want a focused, laser focused ecosystem where people are going exactly where you want them to go. You are talking to the right people at the right time. You're appearing on the right podcasts. You're sending targeted advertising traffic. And they are ending up where you want to go, right? And so what do I mean by that? is because when you, for example, if you're going on a podcast, okay, so podcasting absolutely is part of the 10,000 copies book launch system. We're going to cover that tomorrow. But for example, if you're on your podcast and then the host asks, so where can we learn more about you? And you say, oh, just go to my Instagram. And then, okay, so here's the problem with that is that might go to your Instagram. And if they do, they click follow and then, right? You have a very targeted idea. You have a mission in mind, whether you're selling a course. And by the way, you'd better. If you're signing up as a client for Smoke and Hot Books, I'm challenging you. You better have a goal in mind. My client Amy was like, I want to grow my paid Substack. Peter was like, I want to grow my online community. Valerie was like, I want more clients. Okay, so you need to know what your goal is so that we can reverse engineer what that goal is so that you can get that on your podcast, or we can get that for when people open your book and they read your book and they're like, absolutely, I want to join your online community. Absolutely, I want to join your paid Substack because I can get X, right? So on your podcast tour, we don't want you to say, go to my Instagram. We want you to say, go to the place that I want you to go to so I can reach my goal. So go to get my bonus so that they can join your email list. And then you're selling them your course, for example, right? So these are all things that I help me and Soli, me and my team, we help our clients with. It's not just about the book. It's about what your book gets you, right? Which is why what you're doing this in the first place for, right? You're ultimately making a bigger impact than just what your book can do alone, a deeper impact, right? So this is my client Beth's call to action on a top 2% global podcast. And she has a call to action to share a bonus resource so that people can take quick action, right? So what does that look like? It looks like, so her target audience wants to go on road trips. And she was like, great, here's the resource for you to get started going on road trips this weekend. Okay. Quick actions, quick wins, big returns, right? And they really want that bonus more than they really want the book. But at the end of the day, we're saying, get the bonus. This is how you get the bonus. Just buy the book so you can get the bonus for free. All right. And you can capture leads and you can sell books this way. Okay. So this is how my client Shannon, she was offering a bonus she had like a $500 course that she used to sell. And she was like, I'll repurpose this for my book tour. And I'm going to say, hey, you guys, like, in exchange for this $500 course I used to have, just purchase the book and put your email list into the landing page in the show notes, and you'll get this amazing course for free and start getting promoted at work. Okay. So it's all about how you position your bonus, how you position your quick wins, how you position the value. And this is exactly what Amy Porterfield did when she was on her book tour and her podcast tour. She positioned the bonus that she had as more valuable, as a quicker win, as way more immediate. And she said, all you have to do to get the bonus is just purchase the book and then put your email address in and you get the bonus. And this is awesome because it has had great results. Amy, my client Amy, she grew her Substack, paid Substack, by the way, by 25% in 90 days with this technique. It is awesome. So, and then when you promote your podcast episode on your social media, you're not just promoting, hey, go listen to the podcast. And then after the podcast, you then say, follow me on social media, where do you want them to end up where you actually want them to go, which might be your email list. You actually want them to go so that they can go buy your course or to join your online community, right? You want to then have confidence that when you promote your podcast on social media, they're going to join your email list so they join your online community or whatever it is. Or, for example, promoting your speaking, your TV appearances. This is Beth on Good Day, Pennsylvania, promoting her book. And she told the producers, hey, now include that particular call to action in the links in the show notes. Don't send them to my website. Send them to this landing page so that they get the bonus. They join my email list and I can start introducing them to my offerings, right? That's what you want so that it all starts feeding together and it's a beautiful ecosystem, right? And then, for example, if people find your book and buy your book, but they've never heard about you, well, you also now have a page inside your book that says, well, welcome. you can get this awesome resource. Just go to this link, and then that's where they get the bonus, and then join your email list, right? Remember how we talked about how do we capture the leads from when you sell your book, when your book goes viral? This is how you do it. When your book goes viral and people want to learn more from you and they want to be part of your world, we want them to find you digitally and go to your online universe and start getting indoctrinated there. Okay. So it all starts to feed itself into a beautiful ecosystem. And all clients who work with me and my team, this is all part of the work that we're doing. Maybe you have an idea, maybe you have like a fuzzy goal. Hey, I want to sell my course, or I want to build my online community, or whatever it is. And you're just like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what my bonus is going to be. No worries. Me and my team help you ideate these bonuses. We help you ideate the ecosystem, the processes, the email nurture sequences, all of that. In fact, I'm doing that for my client Peter right now. We're building his email nurture sequence so that when people buy his book, they end up actually signing up for an account for his online community. Okay. So all of these elements are what you really want, right? Like hitting number one bestseller is good and great, but what do you ultimately want? That's what we care about. That's what you care about. And that's the ultimate goal of signing up as a client of Smoking Hot Books. Like there's a lot of hybrid publishers out there who are like, yay, like we'll, in fact, like overpromise and underdeliver. Like we'll help you get your book and we'll help you like number one an Amazon bestseller. Yay, we'll charge you $30,000, right, Christina? But that's fine and all. But what we really want for you is to get clear on what you really want, what kind of impact you want, what kind of value you want to create so that your book actually helps you reach your goals. Okay. And that's what we do here at Smoking Hot. So, okay. All right. So reached day two. Day two. So let's field questions from today. I was kind of like, so I was running at a mile a minute, but hopefully you caught some of that. And let's field questions now. Questions from Substack Live, questions from Zoom. So we have Christina on today. Christina, let me know if you have any questions. Substack, let me know if you have any questions. If you're just like, what do you mean by this, Renee? Like you could even poke holes in my theories. Okay. At me.
Hey, I have a question.
Go for it.
So, what value should your pre-offering your book be?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I want to understand your question more. So when you say value, what do you mean?
So some people say it should just be like a one-page little checklist thing, and I'm like, nobody cares about that. And then I was like, I have like for my first book, I have a guide in there. It's worth like $20.
Okay.
But I was also thinking, well, maybe like you had said, like a workshop that's worth maybe $300 or $400. Because I mean, the whole point is you want to get more contacts. You want to, show your credibility.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to do it?
Yeah. I'm going to challenge you, Christina, because the value, again, is always made up. It's always made up in our minds. It's always made up in our brains. We're like, oh, well, a PDF could technically be $500 or more, depending on the result it gets for someone, right? In fact, one of my favorite entrepreneurs, her name is Kate Northrup. She has made millions of dollars online, and she recently had a bonus that was just a PDF, but she titled it as a field guide, to helping you earn more and do less. Okay. And this was directed at people who make millions of dollars, but just don't know how to slow down. And for them, having that PDF could be worth $500, $1,000, $2,000 to them, right? So it's about how you position it more than anything. And that's what we talk about inside our paid offerings, my paid offerings, is that it's more about how you position it. What outcome can you deliver to someone? And how can you talk about that outcome in a way that is aligned with what they really want, right? And so it could be a course, it could be a workshop. I do recommend it being easily deliverable and easily repeatable. So you definitely don't want to have like live events because you would be doing live events for the rest of your life. But yes, like Amy Porterfield sent out like this like 3-video workshop. And I don't even know if she put a number on it. But the way that she talked about it made it sound valuable. Okay. Like for example, like Beth, it was like, just let's get you on the road this weekend, right? That's a quick win. That's valuable. So for you, Christina, um, for you, it could be like, I mean, there's different things you could do, like a set of meditations that maybe helped you start imagining a new possibility within 24 hours. Or the conversation starters to leave your husband by in 48 hours. I don't know. Like, what is the thing that they're struggling with? Yeah. So hopefully that triggered something or made you think of something. Did that help at all?
Yes, I will. We'll work on that one. Yes.
Great. That's an excellent question. Um, and a lot of people have asked that question in the past. It's a very common question, and I just want to bring to bring up the remembrance that all value is made up, and we're all just selling outcomes. Okay, and how can we position outcomes in a way that is valuable to someone else? It could be any price, but if it's something someone really wants, that is valuable. Okay. So day 2 homework. And in fact, day 1 homework, yesterday we talked about how you can, what is your story and how to deliver your story in a way that is easily understandable to people. Okay. So for example, when you're on a podcast and the podcast host asks you, so who are you? And you immediately start talking about how you started in kindergarten here and then moved to Minneapolis here and then moved to Actually, more people do that than you think. Yeah. In fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day and I was losing interest immediately. Um, and we want you to build a magnetic cult of personality. So the reason I'm doing that or saying this is because there's prizes for you if you do the homework. Okay. So if you post in the chat thread what it is, you get a prize. And in fact, if you also show up live on Zoom, you also get a prize. So Christina won the prize for yesterday for showing up live on Zoom. So congrats to Christina. She got the bulk sales bundle, which is creating creative partnerships to sell up to 1,000, possibly more, you guys. Like it could be like 50,000 copies. It can be a truckload of your books going to an office in Dallas, Texas, for example, because you create a creative partnership. And that's the bulk sales bundle that Christina got. Okay. So day 2 homework. Which of the 4 problems do you see as yours? And it could be a combo of them. It could be a combo of them. It could be all 4, right? Number 1 was you marketed your book like your brand, meaning you just posted it onto social media and you hoped that it would go off and it didn't. Number 2 is you're hoping that your publisher, whether it was a traditional publisher, whether it was a hybrid publisher, who it was, would market your book. Also a false belief, a myth, right? Hopefully we debunked that. Number 3 was that your title and your cover were confusing. Or maybe you chose a title and a cover that you thought were good, but you didn't test your title and cover with your target audience. You didn't even maybe you tested it, but you only got like 5 people saying it. Statistical significance is 30 data points. Okay. You need to have confidence that your target market, once it's out in the world, is going to respond to this title and cover, that they will actually buy it. And then number 4 is that you're just posting your book anywhere and everywhere. You're doing the thing where what entrepreneurs do all the time, where we just post everywhere and hope that someone finds. No, we want you to be concentrated, be like a laser beam. Laser beams cut through metal. In fact, they can cut through granite. Oh my gosh, like hard things. Which one of those is yours? Post it in the chat thread for today's homework. And I want you to say why. Why is it? And there's no judgment, no shame. Okay. I've been there. Sully's been there. We've all been there. Um, and those who submit their answer in today's chat thread get a prize. Okay. So we are at the hour. Tomorrow we are talking about the antidote. The antidote to these 4 problems. What is it? It's a 10,000 copies launch system, y'all. It's the thing that you guys came for, the thing that you're chomping at the bit, foaming at the mouth for. It's tomorrow. We're going to actually go through the strategy of like what to do and when. You're like, Renee, like, what do I need to actually? I get it. I get it. We're doing that tomorrow. So you better show up. Okay. And how your story plugs into it. How your story plugs into it. So you ultimately are a category of one. You're that city on the hill, the moat around it, where no one can touch you. You're making that beautiful impact. You're growing You're growing your business, you're growing your impact in a way that is totally unique to you and only the way that you can. And people are like, I totally get it. I have a magnetic cult of personality. You're like Russell Brunson. You build ClickFunnels. People are gravitating to you because of you and not necessarily because of your product, but because of you, right? And that's the ultimate thing we're trying to show you is that you're the magic. You have magic. Okay. Any other questions? Any other thoughts, comments from Substack Live or from Zoom? Any others? Let's see. Before I do this. All right. Anyone from Substack Live? Okay. I think we're good. I think we're good. So, um, if that's the case, we will see you tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going over the nitty gritty, exact things to do for the 10,000 copies book launch system. See you tomorrow, y'all. Bye. Bye. Okay. Bye. I'll try to end this. Having some trouble, I think.